Well, it's the annual December migration of holidaymakers across the country. And as many flock down to KwaZulu-Natal, many beaches along Durban's coastline have been shut down because of the ongoing sewage crisis. Critical levels of E. coli as a result of the sewage spillage pose a serious health hazard to beach lovers. And this is having a concerning impact on the economy of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, with a reported risk of losing 25 million rand every day in expected tourism revenue. Well, let's talk about the health and hospitality risks with South Durban Community Environmental Alliance's Desmond D'sa, as well as the Umhlanga Tourism Chair, Duncan Heafield. Good evening and welcome to each of you. Desmond, I wanted to start with you and cheekily ask how the health of the Durban mayor is following that publicity swim with the deputy city manager at a Durban beach 2 weeks ago. But let's start with the conflicting messages about beach water safety. What is your understanding about the credibility of beach water safety reports coming out of the city?
Good evening, Imran, and good evening to the listeners. It's clear that the city has left it too late. You know, this was well known at the beginning of the year, since the 12th of April, when we had all the floods and the infrastructure collapse. The city and the provincial and national government fully aware of this, because even our president came and visited the province and made commitments that the infrastructure will be up and running within a few days. Well, sorry to say, months later, that infrastructure has not been repaired. And it's not only on Durban beaches that's been affected, because some of the infrastructure of sanitation runs into the Durban harbour, and that has a huge impact on the marine, the nurseries in the Durban harbour. My understanding of it, we've been driving around, we've had a lot of, we've been going to the beaches and having looked at it, talking to people, from traditional healers to surfers to fisher folk. People are not fishing at all, because they understand that the fish will be affected with all the E. coli. People that use the ocean to baptize, for healing, for Christian organizing on the beaches, are not going to the beach at all, on account that the beach is full of E. coli, but also strong stench of sewage in the beaches.
So there's a great deal
of regular occurrence.
Yes, sorry to interject you there, Desmond. There's a great deal of anxiety and uncertainty, it would seem, based on what you're saying now. If you look at what both, the residents of the city and travellers and tourists are encountering in terms of information, 3 out of 9 sample beaches along the extended coastline have acceptable levels of E. coli. I think they're Ushaka, South and Westbrook main beaches. But then you've got the Popular Point, the Country Club and the Umhlanga bronze beaches, which are unsuitable. But the picture can understandably change from day to day, depending on fresh spillage, which makes it important, this next question: how immediate is the testing and information available on E. coli levels?
That's the problem. The city was much more open with all the information and working with all role players. We would find a solution immediately. But they haven't been open with the information. They haven't shared it. They refuse to work with all stakeholders so that the solution can be found. Herein lies the justice, that the city believes that they can keep away the levels of E. coli from the public, and that's not the way it's supposed to be developed in Durban. They're supposed to be working together. They know that Durban's a huge tourism city. They know that this is the busiest part of the year, where the hospitality industry, but also jobs are created. Millions of people get jobs out of the tourism industry. And that in itself should have urged the city to sit down months ago, when they knew that the infrastructure had collapsed completely, and find ways with the private sector, but also with local communities to work together, so that jointly we could have helped and see where we could bring the expertise to ensure that we can provide assistance to the city.
Desmond, we'll get you on a better line just now. Duncan, I want to turn it to you. Desmond highlighting an important point there. I'm not sure if you were able to hear that, just the impact on tourism. Last year, over 1 million tourists made their way down to you. What is the expectation this year?
Well, I think we've seen a sharp decrease in numbers of tourism that have come down to us this year. You said 1 million people came down to us last year. And we've seen a drop of about 20 to 30% of those numbers already in the first 15 days of our season in KZN. So we're battling at the moment to try and reach those numbers that we had. And those are in years of COVID of last year and the year before. And we're battling to reach almost 60% of the 2019 figures of tourism in our province.
Well, talk to us about who is the most affected by this. Of course, there is a great deal of uncertainty. You heard from Desmond there that there were promises that critical infrastructure would be fixed, and everyone expected, you know, it's December, definitely people would come down to Durban to experience its major draw card, which is being and having a day at the ocean, you know, with your family. So just in terms of the supply and the hospitality supply chain, what's been the biggest impact?
Well, I think the beaches, which is our prime tourist attraction in KZN, have been the most severely affected by that. Our beaches in KZN have been closed on average between 240 and 265 days of this 2022 year. That's almost 2/3 of the year that have gone past without us fixing the infrastructure that has caused these breakages in the different sewage outlets all along our coastline. So as Desmond said earlier, I think it is a little bit too late in terms of trying to fix a lot might scramble of this at the last minute type of thing. But we are seeing that the municipality are putting stopgaps in place at the various waste reticulation plants. And it has caused a decrease in the levels of E. coli in the waters. But the reticulation is also at fault, and the infrastructure has broken down. So it will take weeks, if not months, to be able to get a proper mean of being able to have the water back to our blue flag status of safety in the coming weeks.
Duncan, as hurtful as it might be and painful as it might be to be able to answer this following question, we really do need a clear and straight answer on this, and you're the best one to say so. Is it worth people who are planning a beach holiday coming to Durban?
Well, I think Durban is not only about the beaches. I think our tourism in our market is, obviously it's a main drawing point, but I think we have a whole host of other attractions and tourism elements that will make it so much better for people to come and visit. The fact of the beaches being closed has also opened up a huge amount of very good cost-effective specials in our province at the moment, which are showing the best of the KZN province right throughout, which would make it a very affordable and a very desirable holiday destination for people to go with a lower budget that they might have had a few months ago.
Yeah, and I think it's worth making that comparison and that alternative available. But what you are also saying by mission is, if you want to come specifically for the beaches, you're not going to be able to swim.
Well, I think the beaches are not a turn on tap, turn off tap type of a commodity that we can trade for the tourism industry. So if the beaches are told to be open today, it takes a good 7 days for us to get the ecosystem of the beaches back on track. The lifesavers, the shark nets, the cleaning of the beaches, the services provided of that. So if the beaches are open today, and as you saw, you mentioned earlier, the mayor took a swim on the 1st of December to open the beaches, and effectively the beaches were closed within 24 hours after that. And it's not a turn on, turn off tap type of situation. Yeah. So yes, the beaches will be open, I'm sure, in the next coming couple of days, but it will take a couple of days, a couple of weeks to get back to our prime status. However, in Durban, we have a whole lot of other beaches that are open that weren't affected by the wastewater, and those are clean, ready to use, and ready for our tourists to come and visit.
Yeah, and that's good to know as well, that there are alternatives then, aside from the central beaches. Desmond, I want to bring you back in. Who are some of the biggest losers because of this crisis, particularly affecting, tourism and the health and safety standards at the beaches on Durban's coastline?
Sorry, I'm trying to get. I think the biggest losers are the tourism industry, people who eke out a livelihood, who sell on the beachfronts all over, the small traders. They're losing huge amounts of money because this is a busy period of the year. Fishermen are not allowed to fish at all.
Wow, that's concerning. So, those famous and familiar pictures of, fishermen on any of the piers in KZN, it's sad to hear that those pictures aren't there today, given the current context. All right, so to bring the situation together, Desmond, as an environmental activist, and this has been your work in your area for many, many years now in KZN, what would you like to see the city doing now?
Well, I think, they must be open and transparent with everything they do. They must involve all stakeholders. I think that's the best way to get to any solution, is involve the stakeholders. There's people eager out there that want to fold up their sleeves and really do the good. They've got the important things is that they've got the city at heart, and they've got the country at heart. They want to do good for the country. They want to do good for the people of the city. But those doors need to open. You can't have closed doors and not involve the society in a serious issue that affects every one of us.
Duncan,
we have a crisis. We have a crisis on our hand, and people will always act and come together to ensure that we get the best out of it and make the best out of it and provide the necessary solution and resources. I think if the city does that, it's going to augur well for the future of the people of Durban, because then the interest of a wide, broader society is put place first.
Duncan, I'll give you the final word, and in the interest of all of those, operators, tour operators, people who work in the hospitality sector who need this revenue, for people who are excited to come to KZN, there are more offers beyond Durban. Where can they dial into the offers that the city has?
Well, I think they need to touch base into their local tourism authority, KZN Tourism, Durban Tourism, Umhlanga Tourism, but to have a look at the municipality in terms of the updates they're giving. And as Desmond said earlier, I think the biggest thing to solve this problem is true, transparent communication by the municipality. So as we're going into this, is to have clear understanding of what the hazards are, where we can avoid, where we can visit, and at the same time, enjoy the best of what we've got available that doesn't necessarily have to revolve around the beaches in Durban or KZN.
Duncan, Heafield and Desmond D'sa, thank you very much for talking to us on Full View tonight. We appreciate your analysis and a sense of what's happening right now and what offers are available in KwaZulu-Natal.